is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about.
You all ready for this?
This is a sham.
No.
Nope.
Y'all, just stop.
Get real.
Welcome to DBL. I am Sam in for Tori. There's a certain energy in the room. It's Friday.
Yeah.
Gearing up for the holiday weekend.
Yeah.
How you guys feeling? Oh, there is energy.
Feeling good. Feeling
the
good.
energy wasn't there until Sam told it to be. Yeah, everybody
Right,
was
BJ?
sitting quietly doing their jobs. Yes.
Anything fun planned with the kids?
Oh yeah, we're gonna hang out. We had a great time last night. We're gonna have a show tonight, but then tomorrow we're gonna go see fireworks at the baseball game. Yeah, and the kids get to go on the field and look up and look at the fireworks. How cool is
Wait,
that?
they get to go on the field?
Yes, after the game.
Does everybody get to, or just because they're Al Jackson's kids?
No, everybody. Unless I have a lot more kids than I thought I did. But yeah, no, everybody. I think it's going to be really cool, so they're excited.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's really cool. That's like a bucket list moment. I would love to do that. Okay, so speaking of the holiday, millions of us are preparing for the 4th. But here's a question for you as you gear up for your barbecue. Are you proud to be an American? And how proud are you? Well, there's a new poll, a Gallup poll. It's out, and it turns out that the amount of Americans who are extremely proud is still near its record low. So 39% of the U.S. adults are extremely proud. That's nearly tied with their record low of 38%. 67% of Americans are, quote unquote, very proud. And if you break it up by party, 60% of Republicans are extremely proud. 33% of independents and only 29% of Democrats are extremely proud. And here's another question for you. Can you be proud to be an American and still feel like America has a long way to go? Or does that mean that you're not really being patriotic? So DBL Nation, we always want to hear from you. Are you proud to be an American? Go to dblvote.com to weigh in. Okay, why do you think, Al, that being a proud American is at its extreme low?
Well, just extremely. Just to kick things off, seems like a weird way to describe somebody. Like Erica, she's patriotic, but Sam, she's extremely patriotic. Like it's almost a bad thing. It's anybody that would look at these measurements and try and evaluate them, I would say that they've never been a teacher before. Because when you are a teacher, you can say, I'm very proud of where Erica is, but we have a long, long way to go. And that's being able to look at things in the short term and the long term. When you look at this country, there's a lot of us, Cobb. And our origins were not a lot of people did not come here voluntarily. A lot of people that did come here didn't come here under the fair circumstances because of their skin color, their ethnicity, their religion. We're sorting that out. And being able to look at that in the long term, it looks like we're on pace. But day to day, as we cover these stories, Erica, there's a lot of times I'm extremely disappointed with the no movement on the gun issue, the no, but we have seen a little bit of reform. We don't cover as many police brutalities as we were even 2 years ago. Slight improvements, but it's moving at a glacial pace, and it's really hard for people to see that.
Before you chime in, Erica, I do want to say technical issues. We're having a little bit of some technical issues with our poll. I'm being told it just came back. Great. Erica, you have the floor.
Yeah, I think, Al, what you're talking about is called discernment and flexibility of thought, something that has sorely been missing in our society, especially as of late. There used to be there's still a saying that if you give someone an inch, they'll take a mile. And really the thought process behind that, especially when it comes to children, is if you allow your child to have candy at 7 o'clock, maybe once, and then they're going to want candy later. It's like opening up that door. But really, when you give someone an inch, they'll take a mile in this political climate, it means that if you are willing to say, this is how I feel. Can I acknowledge a percentage of my feelings also include something that you agree with on the other side? Then the other side takes that and says, see, that 10%, that 10% means I get the whole 100. And that's just not how flexible thought happens. When I think about, like, are you proud to be an American? And if you don't say 1,000,000%, yes, there is nothing greater I would love to be than an American, I am the proudest American on earth, then people are like, get out of this country. Well, don't be here. They're never like, don't pay your taxes. It's always, get out of this country. You know what I mean? And it's so bizarre to me because when you think of a family unit, Everyone has someone in their family that they don't really talk to that much. They don't really mess with that much. They don't really like. But at the same time, if another family came in and it's like the Hatfields and McCoys and we're like, this particular, your brother so-and-so, I bet you would stand up to defend your brother. And I think of the country like that too. It's like we aren't perfect people. We are not a perfect unit. But we have made a lot of strides and we continue. For me personally, I take the pride of being an American, so to speak, is how far my family and my family legacy has come. The contributions that I'm making today to ensure that my family continues to not only survive, but to thrive. So in that regard, I do have a lot of pride.
That's beautifully stated. And I love that you're both talking about duality of thought. Because for me, just recently, I mean, I've always struggled with, first of all, let's just break it down because you brought up family unit. I know for me, I want to be the best mother, co-host, wife, person I can be. I'm never going to be fully proud of myself until I feel like I am representing those goals. That's just me. I kind of implement that, and I think a lot of people do with our country. If I'm a true patriot, I want my country to be the best in education, in equity, in inclusion, in... You know how I feel about gun rights in this country, right? So I want my children to be able to go to school and feel safe. I want them to be able to go to the mall and feel safe. That's why I joined Here for the Kids Action. And what I did learn in the last couple months with Here for the Kids Action is this like-mindedness of flexibility of thought, of wanting our country to be better. That does not mean that you're not patriotic. In my opinion, it means the exact opposite. That you want your country that you believe in, that you have ancestors that fought for this country. My dad fought for this country. I want to be able to look at my child and be like, this is what the country's going to be in 10 years because of the actions that we're taking now. Right. So my struggle, though, is when people call me out. Like, for instance, when I was with Here for the Kids Action and people saying, oh, so you're going to come in for my gun rights? Then get out of this country. Well, when all I'm trying to do is make sure that children can go to wherever they want to go safely. So when can we get to a place, in your opinions, where we can have discussions as Americans and say, I want more for our country, but that not be equated to unpatriotic?
Well, I would say this. I would wonder what you consider a discussion. Because right now, a lot of discussions are taking place online with 180 characters, get out of this country. Right. You know, USA is the best. It's 17 letters. I had one of the most interesting conversations. I was leaving Atlanta. I think it was when my daughter was graduating, and I was in the car with this Uber driver for about 40 minutes going to the airport, and he and I talked. He definitely leaned conservative, and it was such an interesting conversation he talked to me about the conversations he and his wife had. Trump was president at this time, and I was like, how many of these conversations are being had in real life, in real time?
Right.
And what I've always said, Erica, is these conversations have been taken away from us as public spaces have been taken away from us. People work from home. There used to be a cafeteria.
Right.
Where you would sit across from somebody that had similar goals as you. They lived in the same neighborhood. They looked different, but your kids went to school together. You guys sat next to each other at the high school football game, even though it was all different. But now those are gone. And now we are just more and more compartmentalized. So these conversations, you can even decide to mute your Uber driver.
Well, yeah,
and
it's
people
like
do
an
that as
echo
well.
chamber.
So, we've kind of walled off our world.
Well, yeah, and I agree with that. And you brought up that point before. I think it's spot on. I think to your point, Sam, it's when you're out there doing the work, it's like you don't have time to come after someone who is doing the work unless you're not doing the work. It's like, so that's my thought. It's like we have to be very strategic, especially for balance and for our own peace of mind. It's like people who are going to think like you, Al, and they're going to remember that, hey, just because someone is different from me doesn't mean that they're other. You know, just because their thoughts are different doesn't mean that I have to mute them. It's when you are contributing to the oppression of others, when you are not respecting the idea of nuanced conversation, that's when there's no conversation to be had. And I think that there are a lot more people who are open to nuanced, respectable conversation than let's just yell at the people who are showing up to do the work because we're all about the twerk.
And Interesting. And that's called hope. That really is. Thank you, Erica. Coming up on DBL. Oh, let's see our viewers really quickly. Can we put it up real quick? It looks like 36% of you are extremely proud.
Equal.
Got it. Dylan Mulvaney says she was abandoned by Bud Light during all the backlash. Should the brand have done more to stand by their trans spokesperson? And our interview with TV host Sarah Haynes. She's telling us all about her game show, The Chase.
DBL, this show is amazing.
There's a lot going on down here.
I would have been part of the Mile High Club.
Yeah.
So on point. But I'm gonna have a conversation about what's happening now.
Hello. Okay, so listen, I loved this conversation because there was one part of the conversation that we didn't get to about the American flag, because I know that a lot of people, including myself, I look at the American flag. Every time I do the national anthem, I get emotional. I'm extremely proud to be a daughter of veteran, a granddaughter of veterans. But at the same time, I have seen Christian nationalism. I almost like whisper it because, listen, as someone that grew up also in the church, I definitely have a great relationship with God. But I've seen over the last couple of decades almost this evangelical Christian nationalism adopt very anti-Black, anti-LGBTQ, and that doesn't represent all Christians, I'm not saying that, views. And a lot of them that I have met or seen usually have like an American flag on their shirt. And for me, all I want to do is hang the American flag on my door, but at the same time, I know that certain groups have adopted the American flag to represent specific views. So now the American flag to me has represented oppression. And I hate saying that out loud because I don't want it to feel that way.
I do think that we have to remember as we're having this conversation that yes, we are like-minded, but for as passionate as you feel about guns or Erica is about making this country all that it can be, the people that you might consider yourself opposed to feel the exact same way about what they're doing. So they feel passionate that they are making the country better by doing this, no matter how much you may agree or disagree. And I think that's where we're constantly butting heads, is when it's easier when, you know, somebody's trying to rob a bank and somebody's trying to stop it. It's easy to find who's right and who's wrong in that situation. But if both people think that they're saving the bank in different ways, it makes it more difficult.
Welcome back to DBL. It's the end of June, which of course means Pride Month is coming to an end. One of the biggest culture war controversies this year was, of course, the paid sponsorship deal between Bud Light and a transgender influencer named Dylan Mulvaney. It caused a huge backlash. We talked about it a number of times on the show. There was boycotts, people shooting up cases of the beer, and the brand losing billions of dollars in value.
You could just throw it away. You don't have to do that.
Right. Right, they're making a point now. They're trying to go viral. But now Dylan is breaking her silence. In an Instagram video, Dylan said that all of the backlash resulted in more bullying and transphobia than she ever could have imagined. She also revealed she never once heard back from the company. Take a look.
For months now, I've been scared to leave my house. I have been ridiculed in public. I've been followed. And I have felt a loneliness that I wouldn't wish on anyone. If this is my experience from a very privileged perspective, know that it is much, much worse for other trans people. For a company to hire a trans person and then not publicly stand by them is worse, in my opinion, than not hiring a trans person at all, because it gives customers permission to be as transphobic and hateful as they want. And the hate doesn't end with me. It has serious and grave consequences for the rest of our community.
Powerful. What do you think of what Dylan had to say? And before, I just want to give you full context. Bud Light did release a statement after this all took place. Didn't mention Dylan's name, but this is what they said. The company remains committed to the programs and partnerships we have forged over decades, including those in the LGBTQ+ community. What would you say, Erica?
Powerful.
Right.
Yeah. Too little, too late, too short. Like, It amazes me that Dylan Mulvaney did not go to Bud Light and say, hey, I have this great idea. Why don't you generate my image on your cans, and this will be a partnership that will encompass my community. Bud Light made that decision. And when companies, this is the same thing I was saying with Target. We could talk about a lot of different companies who have done this, what, in my opinion, is performative allyship, because you aren't really down with the people when it counts. How are you going to generate someone's image on a promotional can, have them, and there are requirements for posts in order to get paid, so clearly she met all of the requirements, and then when there's backlash, you just throw your hands up like, that's on you? Like, that is the most egregious, because at least Dylan, and this blows my mind, when somebody in a marginalized group has the forethought and presence when they are being personally attacked to say, and I'm coming from a privileged position. Right. So imagine how other people in my community who don't have these types of platforms and resources are feeling right now. Why are people who are being oppressed and discriminated against the only people who seemingly get this empathy gene? Like, what is this?
Right. I can tell you, they didn't know what to do, Erica. So they just walked away. I think that we
they didn't know what to do.
I don't think Bud Light had any. I don't think they had any plan. No, it's embarrassing for them.
So they just fed her to the wolves, and they were like, "Oh shoot, let's just abandon."
Did you see the response of their PR president? It was all about her. It was exclusive of. It was excluding the brand. It never mentioned Dylan. And I looked at a company that had no idea remember like early season 1, season 2, we were covering those Dove ads that were really poorly written, and somebody had a t-shirt like best monkey on the playground or something.
That was H&M.
That was, yes, because there's, when you don't have diversity in the boardroom, you don't have diversity in advertising campaigns. When you get hit with a bombshell like this, there's no one in the room that knows what to do.
So what's going to happen in the future, though, with affirmative action being banned?
It doesn't.
How many more less people in the boardrooms are there going to be in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years? That's what we're looking at,
Sam,
though, Al.
Well, yes, that's what we're looking at. But what do I always say? It's just going to open up a lane for when I went and got a cake for my girl this last weekend. It's I got her a baseball cake, but they also make other cakes. And there, we'll leave it at that. Oh. And you know what? They got started because other bakeries would not make cakes that had
same-sex couples.
No, not even that. Just for women recovering from breast cancer.
Yeah.
They would not make those cakes.
Right.
And so here they are, and they've been open for 42 years. So if you want to abandon the Dylan Mulvaneys, there's going to be smaller companies that are going to be more nimble, and they're going to go right around you.
I loved your comment about the empathy gene, because man, if you can't put yourself in someone else's shoes, I mean, then you know that you're not going to be. Oh, I guess we'll be right back.
No, keep going.
I wish we could keep going, but we're hard out.
Cases involving Harvard and the University of North Carolina, the Supreme Court struck down race-based affirmative action in college admissions, ending a nearly 60-year history of using race as a factor in creating more diverse student bodies. The court ultimately decided that the admissions processes at both schools are unconstitutional. In the court's majority opinion, Chief Justice John Roberts said that for too long, university admissions boards have relied too heavily on a person's race over their skills and the challenges they've overcome in determining who to admit. So let's verify. Are colleges now required to ignore all references to race in the admissions process? Our sources are Students for Fair Admissions, Inc. versus President and Fellows of Harvard College, Students for Fair Admissions, Inc. versus University of North Carolina, and Ben Barton, a distinguished professor of law at the University of Tennessee College of Law. The court's decision prohibits colleges and universities from using race as a determining factor in their admissions process. But in the court's ruling, Chief Justice John Roberts also says nothing in this opinion should be construed as prohibiting universities from considering an applicant's discussion of how race affected his or her life, be it through discrimination, inspiration, or otherwise. Which is confusing. Can race be discussed or not? So we called up constitutional law expert Ben Barton. He says Roberts' opinion means that schools aren't completely banned from considering race, but it puts the burden on the applicants.
If a student wants to write an essay about how they've suffered from racial discrimination and how they've grown from that, they're allowed to do that. and the university is allowed to read that, and the university is allowed to say, well, that seems like a good reason to let this person into the university.
So we can verify no. The Supreme Court ruling does not require colleges to ignore all references to race in college admissions. It still allows colleges to consider race if it is brought up by an applicant as part of a personal experience, like a personal essay. With your Verify, I'm Ariande Till.
Welcome back. She's a hostess with the mostest at ABC, as a co-host on The View and host of the game show The Chase. Earlier, we chatted with Sarah about the newest season of the trivia game show. Check it out. Welcome back. She is a hostess with the mostest at ABC, as a co-host on The View, and now she's impressing people with her quick question reading skills on the game show The Chase. Here to talk all about it, we love her. Welcome to the show, Sarah. Hey!
Yes.
Sarah, we were just talking about Kim Cattrall's demands to return, and just like that, what would you negotiate into your contract for The View if you could?
Oh my goodness. I think a 3-day weekend would be nice. Yes. I mean, we do that in the summers, and I think the quality of life when you have 3 days really is life-changing. I don't want anyone from Disney or ABC to know this, but there's not much more. I mean, you can always add zeros, but beyond that, I think I've got a pretty good gig.
Yeah, you do. And you do it well.
Absolutely.
Oh, thank you.
That 3-day weekend, everybody's light bulb was like,
everyone's like, what? 3-day weekend? Sarah Haynes 2024?
All right, Sarah, you must learn so much hosting The Chase. So has trivia knowledge become part of your new party trick?
It actually hasn't. I think it's less about the base of knowledge and more how to play the game. The Chasers have taught me you don't have to always know the answer to get to the right answer. So I won Trivia Pursuit in my family, the OGs, not the family I created. It's easy to beat a 3-year-old. But I mean, I won with my family for the first time after being a host.
Wow.
That's a big deal.
Okay.
That's a big deal.
All right, so let's see your style, because if you were to be a contestant on The Chase, who would you pick as your team member out of The View co-hosts?
Oh my gosh, out of the View co-host?
Yep.
Well, you have to go Whoopi.
Yes.
I mean, she's like a wealth of wisdom. I would maybe say Joy, but sometimes she's like really close to the right answer, but like also so far away, like in the reference.
That's Sam. That's our Sam.
Sarah, that's me.
Sam's what her saying. We know what she's saying, but it's not the right words.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
You're
catch
just,
two
like,
birds
right
with one
there,
grape.
and you're
We're
like,
like, no, but yeah, we got it.
If you got partial credit, Joy would be a huge add to my team.
Yeah.
Partially.
But it's all, that's what happens with the camaraderie. After a while, you figure out what they were trying to say. That's why we love you. All right.
Yeah.
So we got to get to it. What's your relationship behind the scenes with these top quizzers and trivia experts like Ken Jennings and James Holzhauser? Is that like intimidating? What's that like?
So when I met them all, I was fully ready to be intimidated because I have always thought smart, intelligent people. I always admired them. And so I came into this feeling kind of humble, like this is their trivia world. They were some of the coolest guys to hang out with. They had every opportunity to make me feel like I was the one that didn't belong. And they're much better at sparring with each other and, leaving me alone, but teasing me just enough that I feel like I'm part of the crew.
That's how I am with Sam.
Yeah. Teases me nonstop. Sarah, thank you so much for joining us today. DBL Nation,
so great.
You can watch the new season of The Chase on ABC. Congratulations, Sarah. We'll be right back. Thanks, Sarah.
Summer is the perfect season to grill or have a cookout. But could your meal also include a side of salmonella or other bacteria? We verify 5 ways to have a healthy picnic using these sources. Let's start with the prep work. Before making the food, start with a clean slate. Our sources say the first line of defense is to wash your hands and surfaces. Next, make sure to separate cutting boards, plates, and utensils for raw meats to avoid cross-contamination. Third, make sure to cook meats to a safe temperature. This is between 145 and 165 degrees, depending on what you're eating. Now that the food is properly cooked, it's time to dig in, but watch the clock. Bacteria multiplies quickly when food is left at room temperature, so either use warmers, put it in the fridge, or eat it fast. Finally, we all love chips and dip, but don't be a double dipper. you could spread germs and bacteria, which could make someone sick. With your Verify, I'm Brandon Lewis.
Julia says we need to see our Jeff doing some exercises.
I want some yoga for you.
Yeah.
Real fast, watch this.
Can you do this? Oh my God.
The Supreme Court has banned universities from admitting students based on race. The decision prompted outcry from critics who say it'll hurt colleges' ability to maintain a diverse student body. And they argue the court is allowing a practice that harms diversity to continue, legacy admissions. That's when a school gives a student a boost in the admissions process because their family members went to that same school. Studies have shown that at many elite schools like Harvard, legacy students are overwhelmingly white. So let's verify. Did the Supreme Court allow legacy university admissions to continue? Our sources are the majority ruling written by Chief Justice John Roberts and Ben Barton, a law professor at the University of Tennessee, who has also served on the school's admissions board. The answer is yes. The ruling allows legacy admissions to continue. The ruling dealt only with the practice of giving preference to applicants based solely on their race. And while legacy admissions have racial implications, they aren't solely about race.
Those may statistically result in racial bias. You can figure out which one it is. But that is not based on race, and so that would be fine. And it's the same thing with poverty. You're allowed to take first-generation students or poverty into account.
The ruling, in fact, explicitly left room for factors adjacent to race to be considered, saying, for instance, a student could write an essay about overcoming racial barriers as long as the consideration was based on their actions, not just race. So now, race-based admissions practices have been deemed unconstitutional, but other preferences, such as economic status, where the student is from, and legacy status are still allowed. But those two could eventually be called into question, and President Biden himself suggested legacy admissions should be.
Today, I'm directing the Department of Education to analyze what practices help build a more inclusive and diverse student bodies and what practices hold that back. Practices like legacy admissions and other systems that expand privilege instead of opportunity.
With your Verify, I'm Casey Decker.
Well, thank you for tuning in. I thought our discussion was very thoughtful, and according to a lot of the viewers, I think what's missing, like you said, Erica, not only empathy, but nuance. So let's work on that. Thank you for tuning in. We wish you all a happy and safe holiday weekend.
Yes, don't
Get to the airport early.
Yeah, careful about that. Yeah, get to the airport early and just let it go, right, Al? Like,
I mean, yes, you can say that now from the studio. At the airport, you're like, it's very hard to have this Zen attitude you have now. But
She's
yes.
she's like singing, let it go.
bring your sage. Bring your sage with you, and we hope you guys have a great day.
Bring sage.
See you on Monday.